Good morning, everyone. This is Charlotte, and we are chatting in cars. This is a podcast where I talk about random topics. And I swear a lot, basically, so you have a choice to listen or not. I'm casually driving to work. I'm actually on time for once, which is nice. Although I'm always on time, I'm just taking a piss. I do swear a lot. Either you can sit with it and enjoy the ride, or you can change the channel, because I don't mind. Actually, it's up to you as an adult, as an autocratic? No, what is it? Autonomous adult. I've got to Google what autocratic means again. As an autonomous adult, you get to make your own life decisions. So, of course, yes, if you don't like the way I present things, don't listen. The topic for today is... Oh, by the way, I also talk about sensitive topics. So if you're averse to learning about things like miscarriage and stuff, you might want to turn off the channel now. I do tend to ramble, so yes. It's mainly because I'm driving at the time, so I'm trying to multitask and, get shit done. Not all there or half the time either, so that's fun. The topic for today is father. I thought it was appropriate. It was funny it came out of the bag that way because we are fast approaching Father's Day, and the concept is hilariously novel to me. Novel? Ironic? I don't know. Ridiculous. Suffice to say, I know I don't have daddy issues. I have, in general, parent issues. So, some of us came from nice families. I did not. So Father's Day, when we celebrate the coming together of men who decided to actually fulfill their role in life, or one of their roles in life, and, responsibly, I would hope, raise a child to, take their place, I would assume, or, There are some amazing dads out there. I will say that my brother is one of them. He is fantastic, given from where he came from. The background he had was an abusive one as well. Obviously, we lived in the same house. He had to learn his parental roles from, I would assume, teaching or, basically acknowledging what my dad was like and saying, I'm not fucking doing that, and changing the whole system by adopting better ones. He is an amazing dad, I have to say. I wish I had had him as a dad, but, I had him as a big brother and a mentor figure, so, of course, I'm slightly biased in that account. He was my protector when my protector was not protecting me. So, hats off to him. He's a gem of a man. Anyway, some of us come from good houses. I am grateful for you. If you are not grateful already, if you came from a family where the father figure was A, present, B, employed, C, kind, D, stable mentally, I don't know. The most generic, lovely kind of dads. I know they exist out there because some of my friends have got them, and I'm just, you fucker. It's like, how dare you? I would hope that most children get a father that is a good one. I mean, anything I've understood from like a role of what a father should do is either observing other people or looking at the traits I've seen of, people in, movies and stuff like that going, oh, that seems like a nice father figure. Can we replicate that? In esoteric terms, of course, you've got the All-Father, which is, Odin, or, if you're going Judeo-Christian, maybe it's God or something like that. It is the personification of a masculine. It is what a masculine should be doing, I expect. And by masculine, I don't mean gender roles, I mean biological roles, if that makes sense. I'm going to have to do a podcast on that as well. It is what a male could be doing. I mean, yeah, it's part of it. I'm not saying that you have to as a man. I know lots of men that decided not to have children. I'm as a woman in the same boat. I've decided not to have children. I am, however, going to get a dog. I'm very excited about that. I'm treating that dog as my baby. I know, I'm weird. Yeah, anyway. I don't want kids. It's way too big a project. I want a dog. It's like I'm happy to have the smaller project. But no, I would have loved to have had a father. My dad was a berserker. He was violent. He was verbally, psychologically abusive. And so now, even though he's in his late 60s, it's strange. So I'm very jealous of people who have come from a stable background that have this father figure. And sometimes, when you're watching things on YouTube or on Facebook feeds where there's men who are legitimately doing the right by their kids and raising them properly and doing daddy things, I do get a bit teary. I'm like, you fuckers. I wish I'd had that. You know, they do say that daddy issues contribute to a lot of weird shit happening on in a girl's life. It's our first brush with what a man is. And if it's a shit example, well, there is a chance, yeah, you're going to be attracting the same kind of shit men because this is what's presented as normal. I mean, it's not fucking normal, to be honest. I mean, but then again, what is normal? I admire women that have come from fucked up backgrounds and still find a way to make it work for them constructively. I mean, the best thing you can do is say, my dad was shit. If you've come from this background, my dad was shit. I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to go all the way the other way and just do it way better than him. I mean, these are men who are meant to be the role models for their children. And they are what should be the definition of what masculine is. It's the first, you know, touchstone of what we come across as what it is to be male. I don't know if they understand that so much, to be honest. I mean, in the heat of the moment, are you just trying to get laid and like conception could be an accident at this point? And I mean, do they honestly, you know, before they even think about getting knocked up or getting a girl knocked up, think, how am I presenting as a male? What could be, you know, perceived? I mean, I doubt there is any kind of planning that goes into that. It's like, what kind of a man am I? And some might think, you know, in advance. I'm sure there are some men that are of the mindset, yes, I want to, you know, have a family at some point, maybe get married, or, you know, get married, have a family. Depends what order you do it in. My sister had kids before she got married. It was, yeah, apparently it's doable. Not in my book, but yeah. So, no, the kids need the stability. Although, having said that, I was married, so there was no stability there because I divorced the non-monogamous prick. But, you know, I do think if you're going to have kids, you should be married for the sake of the kids. They need that sort of protective legal sphere. Whereas if the parents separate, then at least the kids are covered with like alimony and shit like that, or whatever it is. And they know who their father is, or... Because I've come from an environment and a background, a low SES environment, where a lot of kids just don't know who the fuck their dad is. Or their dad is not present, or their dad's dropkick, or, you know, the druggie and stuff like that. So I've come through, and I still teach kids with a lot of emotional baggage when it comes to what a man should be or do. And that just perpetuates the cycle of, you know, boys growing up to be criminals or boys growing up to be abusive assholes to women. And you sit there and think, I do want to break that cycle. I don't want to perpetuate that cycle because it means a whole bunch of future generations are going to get fucked over. If we can at least break that link, then maybe we can improve the life chances and experiences of the future generations. So we should always be looking to create better environments for our kids. I don't even have kids, and I'm sitting there trying to create future better environments for the kids, because I know once I get them in my classroom, they are my kids. It's like, you might have birthed them, but I am raising them in this environment, and this is the social values we're going to be teaching you, whether you fucking like it or not. You leave them with your kids, that's a waiver form. I will be teaching them the way I want to teach. You know, it sounds a bit controlling, but I'm like, half the time my kids come from fucked up backgrounds where abuse is all they've ever known, especially from male counterparts, if they're present at all. So when they get in my classroom, I give them pastoral care, I give them just general, like, you know, loving that they never got at home. Sometimes we're feeding them, sometimes we're fucking clothing them, you know, it's crazy. And when they come up and they've never known their dad, or their dad's an asshole, you try and find a way to relate to them on their one-to-one, you know, because I'll discuss things with them. I'll have stories with them from when I was a kid, and we can sort of compare notes as to what it's like to have a shit dad. It sounds a bit morbid, but the kid knows that it's not alone. It's like, yes, this is a common occurrence. No, it's not a good thing. And you constantly try and, you know, reiterate that no, this is not normal, because I don't want this small boy growing up to be a complete fucking idiot like their dad. Even if their mum thinks this fuck up drop kid dad is like the best thing in the world, you get him into the classroom and you go, right, okay, what's he done? Yet no, that's not what men should be doing, okay? Because usually, sometimes the mum is a bit of a dropkick herself, and you're like, I'm trying to improve the quality of your life chances by letting you know that shit ain't normal. And no, it's not acceptable to beat the shit out of women and stuff like that, you know? It's a horrible thing to have to go through for this small child who doesn't know any better. Is just on the receiving end of a lot of shit. And I've been there because that was my, upbringing. I know what it is to have fucked up parents. I know what it is to have both parents as berserkers and never knowing any fucking peace. And so right now, as an adult, I strive to find that stability and that quiet, and I cannot fucking tolerate drama. I just cannot. It does my head in. I fucking hate it. So when my kids come up to me and say, oh, you're a cool teacher, you're pretty chill, it's just like, yeah, because I'm actively trying to get rid of the fucking drama. It's like, I will find a way to peaceably come to terms with the shit I'm being presented and try and promote, stability in that area, quiet, I'm not going to shout at the kids. I'm just not, because I grew up in an environment where shouting was the go-to. It starts with the shouting, then it starts with the breaking and screaming and everything, and it escalates. And I'm just like, I know what you've been raised in. I'm not going to do that here. You don't need that bullshit. So when they come to the classroom, it is quiet, it is warm, it's nurturing. I am a bit masculine in my ways sometimes. What is deemed masculine? I tell you what, if anyone ever came for one of my kids, I'd kick the fuck out of it. I really would. I'm when you're on duty on the Oval, I don't know if anyone's ever watched teachers at lunchtime recess. I'm patrolling the border of the Oval. I'm sitting there going, anyone tries any shit, I want to kill you. It's like, that is a protective state that I picked up as some kind of, trauma response from my lack of protection from my dad, I think. Because my dad was not my protector, he was my abuser. He was just, psychotic. He was so fucking psychotic. We at times thought he was maybe schizophrenic or something, because there was some fucked up shit going on. And they put him on meds of some kind, but he didn't keep taking them, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So, of course, my relationship I have with anything that's a male, in a biological sense, tends to be erring on the side of caution. It's like, I don't like... I get along more with men than I do women, obviously, because I was raised as a tomboy. But when it comes to trusting anyone in general, I just don't. When it comes to romantic relationships, I have trouble, trusting men to do anything, because I grew up where my dad had Peter Pan syndrome as well, where he just did not adult. He didn't adult at all. Every chance he was given, every opportunity he was given to be an adult, he fucked off. Well, he didn't physically fuck off. He stayed, but he leached off it. So it's like, so my mum carried the bulk of the weight, and that was what was presented to me as normal, that men were fucking useless. And women, most likely, will be carrying the bulk of the weight. And I've seen it countless times in the area I used to live, which is low SES area. And with the kids I have to teach now, and they are growing up in areas where their mum is the sole provider. She handles everything, and she is incredibly stressed, and to the point where she's bordering on abusive, if not abusive. It's like the men just bail a lot of the time in the area where I grew up and where I'm teaching. So going into, I suppose when I first started dating, I started going out with a boy at 17. I married him at 27, divorced him at 33. When I first started looking at guys, it was to find someone who could protect me. I chose consciously or subconsciously someone who was bigger than me. I mean, in year 12, the guy who I ended up marrying was, 6'1". I didn't want... I was looking consciously or subconsciously for someone who would protect me. I know. And he was quiet, like the opposite of my dad. He was tall, the opposite of my dad. My dad's only something like 5'10". But he's vicious. Or he was. Right now he's like a toothless lion. He's all noise and you're just like, shut up. But I actively, and he was built, he was broad. He grew up and he became a personal trainer. So of course, yeah, he had the genetics for that. And he could, you know, he looked like Captain America by the time I divorced him. But at the same time, you know, I was looking for someone who, as a male, could protect me consciously or subconsciously. I knew I was capable as an adult because I had, you know, had independence thrust on me since I was fucking 5, to be honest. My mum was adamant that we would become independent women. And that meant you did both the man's job, what was deemed the man's job, back when we recognised gender roles, and what was deemed the woman's job. We did both. So there was no concept of gender really, because we were doing fucking everything. And it was expected of us as girls. My brother got off a bit lighter because my dad was technically raising him, but mum had 3 girls, and she said, you will fucking do everything. You will do everything. So that it never gets to the point where you have to rely on a man, because men are fucking useless. And that's, you know, from her life experiences. And it's a bit negative really, because I know men to be capable now. I look at my brother and I go, my brother is not useless in any way. He might overeat a bit, but generally he's a fantastic guy. I've known other men, since I have got out of my, you know, where I was raised, I've traveled, I've seen what other men are. And whilst there is a mix of useless ones, there's also a mix of very amazing ones. Like my sister's husband, who's called Mick. He is amazing when it comes to building anything with his hands. He is like a carpenter naturally. I'm astounded that he could do that, because my dad has trouble weeding. So, you know, like weeding the fucking grass and shit. I watch this man as an incompetent example. I'm going, if this is men, I don't want one, you know. It's like, I don't need someone who's just going to leech and you know, waste my fucking time. But no, you get out of your bubble that you're raised in, and you find like people are very competent. Good people, good men, moral men. That's what you need. You need to aim for a guy that's got high morals, because he's not going to fuck you in the end, or fuck you over. He might actually fuck you, but not fuck you over, you know. Ladies, take note. That's the tricky part. I was growing up in a shit area with a lot of boys who had fathers who bailed, so they had no real example of what to be and what was expected of them, except to perpetuate the same shit that their dads did. And that was what I was being confronted with when I started looking for like boyfriends and things. It's like, this is what guys are like. It's like, well, it just reinforces what my dad was like, and I don't, you know, I looked for the anomalies, but at the same time I'm going, this is just, if this is what this is, then I don't particularly want it. I got married to the guy I went to high school with because he was the best example of a masculine or a male that I could find at the time. All the other guys were doing dumb shit. I'm going, well, this one's tall, quiet, broad, he looks like he could protect me. Yeah, let's go with that. He's the polar opposite of my dad. Yeah, this should be a good bet. And he was sweet and kind at the start. I mean, he grew into a narcissist, to be honest. But he was sweet and kind at the start. I don't know when he changed, but by the end of it, I could have killed him. He was like, you were just an asshole. I suppose maybe I spoiled him or something, I don't know. Because I did tend to do everything for him, which was not good, because it just, you know, breeds complacency. But yeah, that's my fault. That's how I approach relationships. I want to do everything for them. That's the thing. It's like I baby them, and then I wonder why they act like babies. It's a terrible feedback cycle. It's enabling stupidity. It really is, and laziness. It's like having a racehorse. You want it to be nice and stuff. You want to look after it, but at the same time, it still needs to be put through its paces so it can still function. Otherwise, it just gets fat and lazy. You're like, yes, you still need to work. Yes, you still need to do the job. I can't keep babying you and feeding you carrots. Not that I've ever had a horse, but I know horses. I like horses. I would probably get such a fat horse, though. I would overfeed that fucker so much. You don't have to go for a run. Just sit on the couch and eat some snacks. It's great. It's terrible. But no, these examples of men just didn't fit up. And now more at 37, I'm definitely more discerning as to who I want in my life. I mean, at the moment, I'm thinking of when I get my next apartment, because I'm saving up to buy an apartment. I also want my corgi baby, and I want to then go on a trip to the UK, and that's my, 2-3 year plan. I think I could do it. I've mapped out the financial aspects of it, so I'm pretty sure I can achieve it on my own. But I'm thinking of letting my ex-boyfriend housemate with me. I know it sounds tricky because I'm like, is he going to try and get in my pants or something like that? And at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm not even attracted to him anymore. I've already dated him. I know he's a fuck up. It's like, I want you to just pay the rent at this point. That is all I can afford. Because he was good paying the rent and paying the bills. But when it comes to actually being a boyfriend, he was fucking useless. He really was. It's just, it killed whatever affection I had for him. So, you know, it just fucking killed it. It's just like, you just reinforced how incompetent men could be. Sorry, had to blib those. Ew, sorry. Anyway, I'm still sick. I'm still working sick. This is probably not good. Another trauma response to having to handle it all. It's like, you will work sick. Yes, I will, actually, yeah, because that's normal. What is normal? But the thing is, yeah, I would love to find someone who is on my level of, you know, responsibility, competency, that kind of thing. Fully employed, willing with a growth mindset, things like that. I mean, it seems to be like a unicorn thing. It's like, if I find a guy like that, it would be a fucking unicorn. No kids, his own income. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now, and I would like to find someone who matches that. I got not doing drugs, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I've got my own businesses, I work a full-time job, I go to the gym, I do everything that is deemed useful. I would like to find a man like that and to build with him, to be honest, but it seems to be fucking impossible because they got so much fucking baggage, and you're sitting there going, you know what, I'll just fucking handle it myself. Because I don't need you. I'm tired of this bullshit. I know I've got trust issues because I came out of a marriage with a non-monogamist. I know and acknowledge that because it's like, but I like to think that I've managed to get it down to that was just that particular individual, and not all people are like that. I'd like to get it down to that idea. It does flare up from time to time. I'm like, that seems sus and I don't like it, because I've seen it. Like when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, I would see things that were like the small version of the signs of infidelity I would get in my marriage. I'd see the big things in my marriage, and I'd see the small things, and I go, right, that's a direct link. It's like, it might have just been coincidence, but at the same time, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And it would flare up, and my trust issues, I never was able to build trust with this guy because I would see the small things, or he would just do stupid small things, and I thought, I can't, there's no way I can trust you. If I can't trust you, then I can't do anything with you, you know? It's like, there's just no way I would give you any kind of license to be in my life. It's like, I tried to build intimacy and stuff like that. But him with his dad issues, and he does have dad issues still. He was like, what, he left at 19 because he told me he butted heads with his dad. I'm going, yeah, is that your dad or is that you or is that both of you? Because you're both a bit fucking useless as far as I can see. But yeah. Like, and he brought his issues and I brought my issues of lack of trust. He brought his with lack of responsibility, and you sit there and you think, I don't know how we thought that would have worked. Suffice to say, like, any affection I had for him at the start of the relationship was soon fucking quelled, you know, because now I've just sort of put him as a statistic at this point. It's like, I wish you could have been the anomaly. I wish you could have been the outlier, but you know, at this point you're just a trend. It's like you're just another guy that has fucked me over here. So I'm willing to live with him as a housemate, but that is it, because he has firmly put himself in the housemate compartment and not to be moved out of that box at any point. It's like friend zoning, but with financial benefits. Friends with benefits, but no sex, you know? The benefits are you pay half my mortgage. So that's about it. It's like, we got along, but in terms of boyfriend, and I saw him as husband, I was aiming for like husband material, because I want to get remarried again at some point. I liked being married. Not to the prick I was married to, but you know, I like the practice, I like the stability, I like the warm, friendly home that you come home to and you've made cakes and shit like that. I like the housewifey stuff to a degree. I could not have it as a lifestyle. I would still work, but I like the warmth, you know. I mean, some parts of me in like 1950s housewife at heart, you know. I still want to bake cakes and scones and things like that. I could absolutely tear someone's throat out at the same time because I was, you know, but I'm deep-seated rage and I was raised a man. But, you know, at the same time, I like the girliness. Perks of being raised by berserkers. You got the weird, you know, you want the stability, which is the nice, you know, but you've also got the penchant for, you know, violence. It's weird. It's a very weird dynamic. I mean, the thing to do is to quell the rage, to store it and to channel into useful projects, and which I have been doing, quite frankly. I mean, a lot of the anger I got from my divorce and things like that, I turned into renovating houses or finishing degrees or paying off debts, or, you know, it's always been something constructive. I've never turned the anger I've got from dealing with incompetent men or irresponsible or, you know, cowardly, bailing men. I've never turned it into anything destructive, really. I think I did maybe 2008. I think I had one really good downward spiral in 2008 when I miscarried and everything went tits up. And that was it. And I was, what, 23 at the time? Something like that. And that's it. After that, I went, well, this is fucked, and I'm not doing it again. So I've turned everything to something more constructive. It's more, I mean, it's semi-petty, the things I've done as well, because if I get pissed, I'll say, right, well, I'm going to fucking show you, aren't I? And you do. Because you're sitting there thinking, I'm not going to let you get to me. I'm going to do something better. I'm going to do something constructive, and I'm going to outdo you. And you do tend to take it personally. But they shouldn't be an asshole. It was like, you're supposed to be forming a team. But when one attacks the other, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm just, all right, fuck it, cut him off and we'll do it without you. And that's been the story for my entire life. Every time a man turns up, my life gets complicated beyond saving, and then it's like, fine, I'll fucking do it on my own. I wish I had a choice in that, but I don't. I wish, because I would love to find someone who's, you know, willing to constructively coexist with me without trying to take my shit or use me. It seems to be an ongoing story with a lot of women I've come across. And this stems from, you know, our father figures. It's like, what are we willing to tolerate as women? If you've got like a nice dad, or you had a nice dad who looked after you or did the right thing, that would be lovely if you find another version of that to, you know, create kids with and shit like that, if that's what you want. The fact that I ended up with a berserker dad, I know I could never date a berserker. I know. The first sign of that, I would be out. I'd be like, this is fucked, no. And I started seeing it in my ex-husband as well. When we had fights, he would start slamming things, and I'm going, right, fuck this. This is a negatory. I'm not staying for this shit. I am waiting till you turn to my dad. And I did it a few times, say, look, my dad used to do that. Can you not do that while we're having this, you know, even if it's an argument? And the only thing he would do is just do it more, and he'd scream out such disrespect. And it's like, the fuck? You're disrespecting me by doing this. It was a weird dynamic. He was an overt narc, so it's like, now looking back retrospectively, it makes sense. He was just a piece of shit. So I flicked him off. Got my independence for about 2 years from that asshole, whilst grieving, whilst renovating houses, while getting out of debt, all this extra shit. Redeveloping my self-worth as a person, as a woman, as a ex-wife. You know, you have to redefine your identity. And then I run into who is now my currently ex-boyfriend, who is a covert narc. Yeah. So similar trends over again. Me overgiving and overcommitting to a person who didn't want to really be there, but just wanted the benefits of a girlfriend, who ideally should have had just a fuck buddy, because he ain't going to put any effort in, or wasn't going to put any effort in. And it was a fucking nightmare, because I wanted a husband again, and it was a mismatch. So after watching and experiencing what he's like as a man, I know he as a man, or a version of a man, he's a boy technically, from what I saw, I know that that's not what I want. So I could live with him, I could live with him as a housemate. He has not got the maturity as a person to be a boyfriend. He's just a non-committal fucking infant. And I find that incredibly a turn off. It's like, I cannot, I haven't got the patience for it, dude. I work with kids and boys every day, and I get paid for it, and it still does my head in. But to come home to it, I'm like, nah. I don't want that shit. No. If I wanted that shit, I'd have kids. It's like, no. I'm good. So when I'm looking for a guy, and my version of what I want as my next partner, husband, whatever, and I am aiming for husband, I'm looking for a mature male, and I know possibly someone who is polar opposite to my father. And father does impact, our concepts of father do impact the people we associate with in our lives. What else can I say? I really hope that someone, whoever is listening to this, has a good father. I wish I could have had one myself, because maybe my life chances and my life experiences would have been different. I would have had so much bullshit thrown at me. I wouldn't have tolerated such bullshit. I really wouldn't have put up with a lot of shit, because at the time I was doing it, I thought it was normal. I thought it was expected, and this is just what men are, and it really fucking wasn't, quite frankly. I mean, it should have been common sense, but yeah, we all live in denial. It's like we all think we can take on more than we can, we bite off more than we can chew, thinking, oh, it's all right, it's only a little step, in deviation from what we've had before, so it's fine, it's okay, this is the way they are. And there's a lot of softness involved as well. It's like you're trying to acknowledge this is how the person is, maybe got their own baggage, and so of course, yes, I'll accept this behavior because it's just the way they are, this is what the cards they've been dealt with. But the reality is, you can absolutely say, fucking no, I'm not taking that shit. I don't care, how many daddy issues you've got. And that goes for men saying that to women as well. It's like, if women are experiencing shit that they've got from their father, you can absolutely say, I'm not taking this. Fix your shit or fuck off. It's like, I'm not taking this. Of course, you have to be tactful with it as well. You can't just, turn around and say, fuck that, I'm not doing it. You have to find justification for it, of course. Otherwise, you come across feeling and looking like an asshole. But really, you shouldn't be putting up with, just because your dad was like this, doesn't mean that you should accept a man that is like your dad. With regards to, like, my sister, my dad was devoutly atheist. Let's give you an example. He was berserker. Whenever the topic of religion or politics came up, he was berserker. And I'm talking not just an active discussion, not just shouting, he went fucking nuts. And he still goes fucking nuts, particularly about terrorists and stuff like that. He's not right in the head, but he's more tame now. Whereas before, when he was in his 40s, most active period that I can remember, he was just physically fucking nuts. And my mum became a Jehovah's Witness when I was like, what? Oh, Christ, she would have been about 8 or so. And he didn't see it as more like a social club, which is what I saw it as. It is more of a social club. You go there on a Sunday, and I went there a few times. I went for a few years, and I'm like, yeah, this is a social club. We go and read some stuff about a book and learn some stuff about religion. You go, okay, is it for me? No. So I left. I took it very much like, oh, it's a thing. It's not hurting anyone. It's interesting to look into it a bit more. It is what it is. It's not for me, so okay, I pass on it. But he went fucking nuts. He took it like it was a personal slight that any of us were assigned to this, what did he keep calling it, cult? He kept calling it a cult. I'm going, okay, clearly you've never been to one of the meetings. It's not a cult. It's very boring, to be honest. It was too boring for me in terms of spirituality and stuff like that. I tend to be, I lean towards divinism these days, myself, with the universal mother and the daddy god, as I call him. It's a male and female thing. I'll do a whole podcast on that. It's his own little thing. But I can tolerate other people's viewpoints, definitely. I was like, okay, so this is what you're into. Okay, that's cool. Do I believe it? No. But I can accept that you believe it, and that's cool. That's all right. You do your thing, man. I can accept that people are atheists. I'm like, okay. Like, to each their own. I mean, it's not my place to tell you what you need to believe. I lead by example. That's what I do. If you like what I do, then go for it. I don't give a fuck. It's your life. You have to deal with the consequences. Good or bad. I mean, someone might have a better idea than I have. I'm cool with that too. It's like if someone's got a better idea and it appeals to me, it resonates, I'm like, okay, so maybe we'll go with that idea. It's not a life or death angry, taking it as a personal slight thing. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but this is the way my dad reacted to us joining, the Kingdom Hall and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know why he took it so fucking personally. I was angry with that, for that. His methods. If he'd logically and calmly told me why he had a problem with it, I might have understood. But the fact that he went absolute berserker over it, his reaction was not needed, and so I spent a large chunk of my life in fear of him because of this, and just not wanting to discuss religion in general. I was like, it was such a personal, painful thing to discuss that I just didn't want to go there. For years and years, past after leaving home and stuff like that, because it was a trigger thing for me. It's such a horrible experience. And so when I finally, grew my wings back and got my own freedom, I started looking into these things. And of course, I couldn't tell him now because I know he's that kind of a person. But when my ex-boyfriend started showing signs of not being able to tolerate that kind of thing, I went, right, no, I'm not doing this again. That was one of the reasons I left him. He was an atheist. And he wasn't a berserker, but he was definitely intolerant of other viewpoints. And I thought, you know what, you haven't got an open mind. You don't take into consideration these are just my beliefs. You don't have to believe in yourself. I was never pushing them on him. I never really wanted to talk about them because they're personal to me. I mean, your beliefs are your own. You keep it to yourself, basically, as far as I see. I'm not here to convert anyone. I just wanted to keep my beliefs. And that's fine. But every chance he got, he would bring it up and he'd, bag me out for it. I'm going, dude, what is your fucking problem? And it's one of the reasons I left the prick. Because I'm like, you're bigoted. And I can't do that. I can't do that again. I've had a dad that was bigoted. I'm not doing it again. No, I would not force that on anyone. I would not take that slant with anyone. Fuck off. It's that level of immaturity. I couldn't. I can't. I still can't. Even now, I broke up with him in January, moved out in April, and even now I'm still looking at him like, you're a fucking idiot. I can't believe you took that stance in this day and age that you were that bigoted about anything. About anything. I mean, who is that? Who does that? It's like being oh God, what do they call them? When you're afraid of gay people, what do they call them? I can't think. Homophobic. It's being a homophobic in this day and age. Are you fucking serious? Who does that? It's like, it's ridiculous. The premise that you are that close-minded and bigoted in this day and age is just, it's ridiculous. I can't. It's like, I don't care if he was an atheist, and he was an atheist supposedly, even though at one point he did tell me he joined the Church of Satan, and I'm like, right. I've got an open mind for that. I don't believe that, and I think it's a bit silly. But okay, that's you. If you want to do that, that's you. I'm not going to bag you out for it. That's cool. So you go, okay, that's the one way to look at it, and you change the subject or something. You're like, okay. It's like, because even coming from a Jehovah's Witness standpoint, the devil is seen as bad. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll accept your viewpoint. That's cool. It's like, no, I'm not going to give you shit for it. That's you. But then he claims he's an atheist. And I'm like, okay, so that's another viewpoint. You can do that. That's cool. I don't mind that. It's not my place to tell you what to do or what to believe. Definitely not what to believe. That's a basic human right. So, when he started giving me shit, I'm like, this is my dad all over again. I'm not doing this. So as an adult, I was given a choice. Do I want to replicate the kind of pattern that my mum went through? And I was presented with, in father figure through my boyfriend, or do I just walk the fuck away? And I chose. One of the perks of being an adult is you get to walk the fuck away. You make a choice. So I did. I'm going to have to leave it there, though, I'm afraid, because I've just turned up to work. I've got to go teach some kids drama, apparently. It's the only drama I will accept, besides periodic drama. Period dramas, I love them. Get my Downton Abbey on. Jane Austen, oh my God, Brian Brothers. Okay, anyway. So the thing to take away from this is father figures are the foundation stone we have for the concept of what we see as male or masculine. And by masculine, I mean in the biological sense. I don't mean in the gender sense. I don't recognize gender. They are a touchstone. They are the formative years of what to expect from other men in our lifetime. As men, it is integral. It is intensely important that you present yourself as the best form of masculine you can, because you've got other people looking at you, other people relying on you. You need to stand up for yourself and be the best you can be. I think that's some kind of army quote or motto. I don't know. But in any case, and of course it's going to be different for everyone. I mean, we've seen such prevalence of toxic masculinity these days where they think they need to be uber tough and stuff like that. And that's a fucking bullshit. It's a lie. You don't have to be uber tough. What you need to be is warm, caring, considerate, strong, resilient. I mean, there's a list. Go and Google it. But at the same time, don't aim for toxic masculinity traits because it's bullshit. Nobody's going to want to be around you, and you'll just be like my granddad, who's just, well, my ex-granddad because he's dead. But, you know, you'll die alone. As women, we need to be gatekeepers of our own, you know, the future generations, I think, because we are telling our kids that this form of masculinity is okay. If we stay with an asshole, we're going to be telling them that assholes are okay and acceptable. It's like, no, it's not acceptable. It's definitely not acceptable. If you're staying with a man who is hitting you, then it's fucking not acceptable at all. And you're telling your kids that it is okay. So as women, we need to be strong and resilient. We need to say no and put in boundaries and say, I'm not fucking doing this. I'm not perpetuating this. I am not enabling this form of male, masculine father to be included in the environment. So I can understand why some women have chosen to leave men who are just deemed unworthy. I have no problem with that. I've seen enough women raising kids, single mums working. Unfortunately, yes, it is a part of life. I'm not saying it should be perpetuated, and I'm saying these women deserve the world because they're putting up with so much shit. They're having to be the father and the mother, and it is fucking painful. But for the sake of a man being a proper man, you know, instead of being a piece of shit. We need to promote men. We need to promote men's mental health, definitely. Physical health. Mental health because we need them to be stable. Well, I'm not saying, you know, cushion any kind of blow, but, you know, we need to strengthen them a bit more because right now they're getting the first sign of, you know, commitment or, you know, responsibility, and they're just going, fuck this and bailing. I don't know what's happened there. Probably because, you know, bullshit fathers raising, you know, kids. We really need to strengthen our men because we need them. We do need them. We need them as protectors. We need them as co-providers. We need them as, you know, structural. I mean, they're built, men, physically, in a biological sense, are built to protect. They are bigger than us. They are stronger than us. And that's not a problem. Don't see this as a feminist issue. It's like they're biologically that way because they have a role to play. We need them. Even parenting alone shouldn't be a one-person thing. It shouldn't be. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil when the, you know, co-parent is being a fucking cunt. Unfortunately, it's the part of the role we take on as women because we are the nurturer. As a biological role, we've got estrogen, yes. And I don't mean that because, oh, we've got a uterus, I have to be the mum. It's like, no. We have the hormones that promote that kind of emotional regulation. And so we are the nurturer. Men can be nurturing as well. They have the similar hormones, but they just tend to be bigger and they grow muscle. You know, we need them for protection, unfortunately, yes. And as much as we'd love to be, you know, independent women, we shouldn't have to be. If we found the right guy that did his fucking job as a male, we'd be more than happy to, you know, give you everything. It's horrible. It's horrible that we can't find them. Anyway, I'm wishing the women out there who are facing life with shit fathers the best, the hope that you can find a male who is a better replacement, I hope. I hope you found boyfriends, husbands, anyone who can help you. It's all about coming together and forming alliances, to be honest, regardless of sex or gender. That's what it is about. And by alliances, we form community and we form structure, and that permeates into everything else we do. For the women who had good fathers, fuck you. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You lucky bitches, that's what I'm saying. Lucky for you. I'm hoping that you're encouraging your sons, maybe, or your boyfriends to act just as responsibility as good as your dad did. I'm very jealous, I have to say. I have to say. Oh, God. All right. It's Tuesday. I'm going to leave it there. I got to go. All right. Have a good one. Take it easy. Remember, if you're a male, you are the example to your sons and daughters. Please give them something worthy. Okay? We need you as men, not as boys. Okay? If you're women, remember to uphold your boundaries and your standards. You've got to find the ideal male. Better to be alone than to be with some fuck up. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow.